Hey, it's your friend Choice CJ here, and I am bringing you guys my Week 9 battle of the PMC Season Number 2. We are going up against Kingdra from the channel Kingdra Plays Games. He is the coach of the Kansas City Kingdras. And our squad, the Baltimore Oriolus, is going to be taking him on this week. Shoutouts as usual to Alcoholic Gamer Boy for recording my video. Always sending that to me right away after I send him the code. He is always coming through, so thank you very much. I do have a whole team builder dedicated to this week, and I recommend you guys check it out. In case you missed it, I am bringing Life Orb Tornadus T, especially defensive Steelix with Toxic, Assault Vest, what's that thing called? Trevenant. Sorry. Physically defensive Electros, physically defensive Tentacruel with Wakanberry, and a Choice Scarf Salamence. And Kingdra has brought Dusknoir, Shaman, Metagross, Altaria, Omastar, and Latias. So the biggest relief for me is that the Emboar is not coming. That thing is just a Pokemon that I do not switch into whatsoever. He also didn't bring the Galvantula, which is something I was a little bit worried about. Not for the webs, but just because it's a dangerous attacker against my team. It's part of the reason that I went with Wakanberry on my Tentacruel, because then I could hit it up with a Mirror Coat and potentially take it out. That being said, even though those threats are not here, Metagross is definitely looking scary. He had the potential to sweep me with a Rock Polish Metagross in the last game, but the opportunity did not arise because I was able to sweep with a, what was it? It was a Dragon Dance Mence is what I was able to get the last time. And Metagross can definitely be scary. I'm scared of a what do you call it? Shell Smash Omastar. That thing can definitely be scary. And Altaria is, it's always a tricky mon because you never know quite how it's going to be run. There are some good checks to it on my team. Steelix is a pretty solid check, and Tentacruel can take a +1 EQ from an Adamant Altaria if it's at full HP. And then I do have my Salamence to revenge it if needed. So, definitely some big threats on his team. I also struggled a lot with the Dusknoir last time, but I think I have some better options this time. I have a Life Orb Tornadus and a Natural Cure Trevenant, and I also have Steelix with Toxic if I need to go for sort of a last-ditch effort on it. Based on his team, I'm just going to lead Tornadus. It's a pretty solid lead versus most of his team. He doesn't really have anything that can outspeed me unless it's Scarfed. For example, like Scarf Shaman, but Scarf Shaman isn't going to threaten Tornadus a whole lot. Something like Scarf Metagross, I suppose, is possible, but it seems unlikely based on what he brought the last time. And then from there, I can make the appropriate pivot into whatever I think is best. So I am going to do that, and we're going to hop right on into this battle. Good luck, have fun, Kingdra. Looking forward to it. It's time to throw down. Here we go. So, as I said, I'm going to lead off the Tornadus, and he shows his Latias. And this is good for me. I do some calcs, and even if this thing is Scarf, I can take a Draco Meteor. It does like 60%. Not that I would love to take one, but the fact that it's not going to kill. I think even an Ice Beam I calced and it wasn't going to kill. But it turns out that he's not Choice Scarf. I am just going to go ahead on U-turn out into my Steelix, which this Latias can do very little to. Even something like Surf is not going to 2-hit KO. And he shows the Wish, which is really interesting to me. So it did a lot. The U-turn did quite a lot of damage. So I'm not 100% sure what the set is, but the fact that he has Wish hints that he might be more defensive. Anyway, he does just go for the Protect here, and I did go for the Gyro Ball. Oh, sorry, the Toxic. I don't have Gyro Ball this week. I have Heavy Slam, Earthquake, Stealth Rock, and Toxic. But in case you wanted to go out into something like Dusknoir, like pass a Wish into it, and then go for a basically free Will-O-Wisp. That's kind of what I was expecting, but he stays in, goes for the Protect, switches out, the Shaman comes in, and as I do go for the Stealth Rocks this turn, and I cannot stay in on this thing. Now, I wanted to kind of figure out what sort of Shaman this was before I go into my Trevenant, which is my best switch in for this thing most times. I know that Tornadus can take one. He does a ton of damage, does 102 HP with his Seed Flare, one because it's a crit, and two because this is a Choice Spec Shaman. So I am really terrified. I know that I can easily U-turn out on this thing and go into my Trevenant, but he makes a smart play and switches out. We are going to be able to get some Regenerator HP, which is nice. It's only going to put us up to about half, and I prefer to be at a little bit more than that. But he does bring in this Omastar, which gives me a really, really nice opportunity to bring in the Trevenant. Because even an Ice Beam from this thing is only going to do, maybe, it's going to do less than 40%, that's for sure. And I can hit it up with a Fat Horn Leech right afterwards, which is the move that I click here. He's going to make the smart play and bring in his Metagross, which is not going to take all too much damage from this Horn Leech, as you guys are about to see. But the amount of damage suggests that this thing is probably offensive, which doesn't surprise me based on the set that he brought the last time. I almost thought I left this thing in because, I was like, well, I can kill it with a Shadow Claw. I'm glad I didn't, because he does go for the Ice Punch, and based on the damage that this does to my Electros, which is my best switch-in for Metagross, this thing is definitely banded. Definitely banded. That Ice Punch would have straight up killed my Trevenant. I'm really glad I didn't make that dumb play. He makes what I would say is a pretty smart play going into his Altaria. 9 times out of 10, the Electros is not going to be able to do anything to an Altaria, but I am packing the T-Wave. So regardless of what kind of set this is on this Altaria, it's been completely neutered. If it's Dragon Dance, I can outspeed it with basically everything on my team. As it is, I have no reason not to Volt Switch, because I can, if he switches out, I can make the appropriate play, and if he stays in, I can easily go into whatever I want. I do go into the Steelix here, because whether he wants to Earthquake, Hyper Voice, Return, whatever he wants to do, it's not going to do a lot to my Steelix. Fortunately for me, he does get paralyzed. Now my biggest fear with this is that he goes into Metagross on the obvious Steel move. And that thing is a threat to my team, so I want to catch that if possible. So I go for the EQ, but he brings in the Shaman instead as a pretty good mid-ground play. It only takes like 20%. So I am going to swap on out of here and bring in my Trevenant, which is at full HP. I know that I don't want to bring in my Trevenant, my Tornadus if I can help it. He goes for Hidden Power, and it's not super effective. It's not very effective, so I'm not actually sure what Hidden Power that is up on this Trevenant. But he is going to switch on out. I am just going to go for the Shadow Claw, because it's going to do good damage to everything on his team. He does not have a resist. He brings in the Altaria, basically a sack fodder. I follow up with a Horn Leech because I calc it and I know that it's going to kill. And it gives me just a tiny bit of HP back, which is really nice. So the Altaria is out of the way. It's 6-5 us, but he has lots of threats left on his team, even if one of his biggest ones is gone. Metagross comes in, and again, now that I am 100% sure that this is banded, there's no way I'm leaving this thing in. Anticipating him to go for something like Ice Punch, I am going to switch in to my Steelix, thinking there's no way he clicks Earthquake, but he does. I didn't think he would go for the Earthquake because my switch into this I had already shown to be the Electros, but he makes a nice play and goes for the Earthquake, so really good prediction. And then he predicts my switch out again and brings in the Omastar. In retrospect, the best play here probably would have been to go into a Tornadus, but as played, I go into the Electros. Because, that's also immune to Earthquake, but, Tornadus would give me a much better, offensive momentum, and he doesn't have great resists for my Tornadus as it is. I'm going to go for Thunder Wave here, because even if the Shaman wants to go for Omastar wants to go for Scald, it's not going to do a whole lot to me. I'm still going to be at a decent amount of HP. I can take one of any hit from the Metagross, go for Knockoff, go for T-Wave. I get pretty lucky in that he switches out into the Shaman. It is true that this thing gets Natural Cure, so it's not a disaster for him. But it's just annoying because now I can get a Volt Switch off and freely switch into my Trevenant. So far, this Trevenant has been a complete monster versus this team. But he is going to go for the Seed Flare. It does, a decent amount of damage, about 40 HP. But this Trevenant just has so much special investment, especially with the Assault Vest. It just does so good. It's such a good check. Did benefit from him not having the special defense drop, which forces him to switch into his Omastar. I guess he's bringing this thing in as sack fodder. I do go for Shadow Claw. Maybe he thought I was going to go for X's or something, which the Shaman I think resists, or sorry, the Omastar I think resists. He's going to double out into the Metagross, hoping that I go for the Horn Leech, but I have no reason to do anything but click Shadow Claw, because even Ice, well, he's not going to, like, I'm going to be able to 2-hit KO with Shadow Claw. The most that he can do is Ice Beam, and Ice Beam is not going to do all that much damage to me. So I go for the Shadow Claw and, you know, get pretty fortunate in that I do the catch that Metagross. Latias comes in next, and again, I go into basically my default switch in, which is Steelix. Should be able to take 2 of anything. It does go for the Psyshock, and it does a decent amount of damage, all things considered, and the Latias finally shows itself to be Life Orb. So he's Life Orb with Wish and Protect, which is a cool set. He is going to drop the Draco. I calced this, and the most that it could potentially do is like 54 damage, or 55, which is what it did. Goes, you know, takes more Life Orb recoil, and I'm going to hit him up with this Heavy Slam, which is going to do a hell of a lot. Shoutouts to Joey, PokeMMD. He's going to finish me off with the Psyshock here, but lucky for me, this Psyshock is going to take him out as well, because he again has the Life Orb recoil. So we are now at, I believe, 5-3. Yeah, it is 5-3. He's got Dusknoir left, he's got a weakened Shaman, and he also has Omastar. So I'm going to go into my Tornadus, because again, it matches up versus everything on his team that has remaining. He sends in the Dusknoir, and I'm going to hit this thing up with a max special attack, Life Orb Dark Pulse, which does quite a lot. Gets this thing to like 35% or so. He is going to hit me up with an Ice Punch. But before I clicked this move, I went into the calc and tried to figure out how much an Outrage from an Jolly Salamence is going to do. And it does about 46% minimum to this Dusknoir, which means that it is in range. He no longer has a Dragon Resist on his team. The Altaria is gone, the Metagross is gone, and this Salamence is about to put in some work. So getting the good Dragon Dance sweep this time, coming in, clicking that Outrage, getting that Moxie boost. We are up 4-2, and things are looking pretty good for us. Brings in the Shaman, gets the Rocks damage, and we are locked in. And this Salamence is going to get yet another kill for us. So if we can dodge the confusion, we'll get a 3rd kill for the Salamence, which is going to put it way up high on the leaderboards. But as you can see, it does get the confusion, which is a little disappointing. But with him bringing in the Omastar, I have no reason to risk getting confused and taking an Ice Beam. So I'm just going to switch into my Trevenant, which also has 2 kills this match, doing some real nice work. He goes for Scald, and I do not get burned. Even if I had gotten burned, it would not have mattered. This Omastar appears to be fully physically defensive with no speed investment, which means that my Trevenant does outspeed. And as you can see, he's just going to go ahead and take the loss. Omastar definitely would have been taken out by Trevenant, so Trevenant is going to be awarded the 3rd kill there, and that is going to be good game. So there were a lot of really scary threats on Kingdra's side. I was really fortunate to have paralyzed the Altaria, to have caught the Metagross on that switch-in, and the fact that Tornadus was able to land such a huge hit on the Dusknoir really put me in great position. Because Dusknoir is a threat. Like, it could have easily taken any hit from the Salamence, and prevented that little rampage there at the end. The real MVP, I gotta say, is the Trevenant, because it was able to easily come in on the Omastar, able to easily come in on the Shaman, do some good work. It ended up getting 3 kills. Electros was also an MVP, landing a couple of critical T-waves, getting some momentum. I really benefited from Kingdra not bringing his Clay Doll, which was definitely, a great way to deal with the Electros. I can threaten that thing with moves like Giga Drain and Knockoff, but just preventing the momentum is so crucial. And that's why having a ground type in League format is so pivotal. You just want to prevent momentum as much as possible, or if you're facing Pokemon that run U-turn, running Rocky Helmet on a Pokemon to get additional chip damage. That's why Lando T is so good in OU, because it can run Rocky Helmet and weaken opposing Landers T's, weaken Scizors, etc., etc. But yeah, so this is going to put us to a 6-3 record. Things are looking pretty good for us. We have 3 weeks remaining. Depending upon the outcome of the other matches, we might be in a position where a victory next week will give us a playoff berth. And that would be amazing for us. We have 3 really tough battles remaining, though. We have to face Kyle in week 10, who I've been thinking I've been playing him like the next week, every single week for the past 3 weeks. But no, this is actually the time that we play Kyle. We also are going to be facing down Dr. V in week 11, who we did take a loss to earlier this season. An unfortunate, I think, 3-0 loss. And then we did also, we have a match against the Verd in week 12, who we lost to back in week 5. Which, was definitely an unfortunate game. We were in a position to win, but didn't make the right plays. And Verd just had a stellar team that I couldn't deal with. And his team has changed quite a lot since then. My team has changed a little bit as well, but his team especially is very different. So if we can get ourselves just 1 win, potentially, again, depending upon the results of this week, we can be in a position to clinch the playoffs. And I'm really looking forward to that. Playoffs are going to be really tough. We've got a bunch of great players in our conference that we'll might have to square up against. People like J-Specs and D-Pad are looking to be in position to get playoff berths, as well as Dr. V and myself. But you never say never. Kyle could definitely creep his way back into the playoff race. And of course, we have Verd having the best record in the league. I think he actually... I don't know if he's clinched yet or not, but he's got like a 7-1 record going into this week. So if he hasn't clinched already, he might have clinched with his week 9 result. I don't know, or he might have to wait till week 10. But in any case, none of that is super relevant right now. What it means is that you guys have a reason to tune back in to the matches in this upcoming week on my channel and on everybody else's channel. It's going to be a really close finish to figure out who's going to make the playoffs or not. And I hope you guys are looking forward to it. I sure am. I want to give a shout out to Kingdra for a great battle. Another shout out to Alcoholic Gamer Boy for recording this video for me, as he has been doing every week. He's a really great guy, always helping me out. And that's going to do it for me. So thanks again for watching this video. Make sure you guys check back to my channel for more PMC and other Pokemon content. And until the next time, I will see you all later.